The continent needs a unified stance to receive more support for its pursuit of UNSC reform. Experts believe Africa's renewed and intensified push for permanent representation on the United Nations Security Council, UNSC, examining the continent's arguments, internal challenges, and geopolitical dynamics that will determine the success of this long-standing quest. During the 80th UN General Assembly session in September, African leaders powerfully revived calls for UNSC reform. They argued that the current structure, with permanent seats held only by the US, Russia, China, France, and the UK, is outdated and unjust, marginalizing a continent of over 1.4 billion people that is central to contemporary global challenges like conflict, climate change, and pandemics.
Kenyan President William Ruto denounced an indefensible historical imbalance, while South Africa's Cyril Ramaphosa warned the structure entrenches inequality. Nigerian President Bola Tinubu framed Africa's exclusion as a credibility crisis for the UN itself. Their position is supported by the Global South, Caribbean, and some Eastern European nations.
Experts emphasize that a permanent seat would fundamentally alter Africa's global role. According to Professor David Kikaya, it would amplify Africa's voice on security issues and provide leverage in shaping international responses. Dr. Constance Gikonyo of the University of Nairobi labels the exclusion not an oversight but structural racism baked into global governance, arguing the UN must stop treating African states as visitors or bystanders and grant equal rights to all members. However, the path to reform is fraught with obstacles, primarily from within Africa itself. The continent officially champions the Ezulwini Consensus, 2005, demanding at least 2 permanent seats with veto power and 5 non-permanent seats. Yet, as policy analyst Dennis Muniu notes, the African Union, AU, has never agreed on its implementation. Competing national interests, regional rivalries, and differing alignments with external powers threaten to derail consensus on which specific nations would occupy any permanent seats granted. Muniu stresses that Africa's quest will remain largely aspirational unless it stops fighting from within and fixes its fragmented unity. Success, therefore, hinges on a dual strategy: internal cohesion and strategic external diplomacy. Internally, Africa must transition from rhetoric to coordinated action by uniting behind a clear, actionable plan for representation. Externally, the article identifies China and Russia as pivotal allies. Professor Kikaya notes that African leaders will need the political and diplomatic goodwill and support of these 2 permanent members, who possess significant negotiating power and have shown a soft spot for Africa through investments. Muniu expands on this, observing that the global shift toward multipolarity, marked by shrinking Western influence and expanding Chinese and Russian footprints in Africa, creates a new opportunity. Both Moscow and Beijing have consistently criticized Western dominance of the UNSC and could support its restructuring as a strategic win for their own interests, but they are more likely to act decisively if Africa presents a unified front. In conclusion, Africa's demand for a permanent UNSC seat is a matter of asserting global justice and practical influence. While the moral and geopolitical arguments are strong and potential powerful allies exist, the continent's own internal divisions pose the most significant barrier. Achieving this historic goal requires Africa to first speak with one voice through strategic diplomacy and resolved internal unity. Only then can it effectively leverage changing global dynamics to secure its long-awaited seat at the world's top decision-making table.